So as you look at this season right now, and what are you seeing the shift that successful women are really making in their businesses and how they're redefining business right now?
Yeah, the biggest shift I am seeing is women really starting to step back and listen and go, things don't feel right. They've had the success, they're following what it is they want to be doing or thought they wanted to be doing. Life has changed a little bit for them and they're feeling this pressure of, where are my priorities? Am I actually serving who I want to be serving? Is this really what I'm meant to do? There's a lot of introspection, there's a lot of really reassessing
Yeah.
their business, their life, their priorities, everything, and it can feel a little heavy.
Yeah. It definitely
But
can feel heavy when they're in the
yeah,
midst of it, right?
exactly. But it's, how do you take this thing that you built and this life that you have and remold it and create it to what you want?
Yeah.
We've been sucked in for years into a lot more masculine way to do things, and that there's
Mhm.
these boxes we've been put into, and we don't fit into these little boxes. The beauty of doing business now is there's so many ways to do it.
Yeah.
But how do you know which pieces to pull from here and which pieces to pull from here? And what do I do here to make it your own way to do business?
Yeah.
Which was frowned on before, and now it's the norm. But how do you
Yeah.
make that shift? And that's really
Yeah.
the biggest shift I'm seeing.
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. In my work with women entrepreneurs, I see something beautiful unfolding. Women who have built real success are beginning to look at their businesses through a new lens. They are no longer asking how to grow more, they're asking who they are becoming as they grow. They are asking how their business can support the life they desire, the impact they feel called to make, and the way they want to live and lead every day. There is deep wisdom in that moment, a recognition that success is not just about what you build, but how your business holds you, how it supports your energy, your relationships, your vision, and your next level of leadership. And often that next level isn't about adding more. It's about seeing what you've already created with fresh eyes and allowing it to be arranged in a way that truly supports the woman you are becoming. That's where today's conversation lives. I'm joined by my friend Mara Whitener, founder of Whitener Professional Services. Mara works with successful founders to redesign how their businesses actually run so they become the vehicle for their purpose rather than the obstacle to it. She brings a grounded, practical perspective to what so many women are navigating right now: how to create more spaciousness, more support, and more alignment inside a business that is already successful. Mara has walked the path herself. She spent years knowing she was meant for something bigger, searching for how to live her purpose without sacrificing everything else in her life. What she discovered and what she now teaches is that spaciousness is not something you earn later. It is something you design now. If you've ever found yourself wondering how to create a business that truly supports the life you want to live, this conversation will open something for you. Let's meet Mara Whitener. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Mara. I am so excited to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I've been wanting to have this conversation here with you. You and I've gotten to know each other better over the last year or so, and it's been really fun
Mhm.
getting to know you.
Yes.
And I love the work you're doing. I think it's so important. And I think when we're talking about what's happening and what's shifting in the world and how women are wanting to build businesses differently, I think
Mhm.
you definitely, the work you're doing is really helping women build businesses differently than have been done in the past. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah, good, good,
Yeah.
good. So as you look at this season right now, and what are you seeing the shift that successful women are really making in their businesses and how they're redefining business right now?
Yeah, the biggest shift I am seeing is women really starting to step back and listen and go, things don't feel right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, they've had the success, they're following what it is they want to be doing or thought they wanted to be doing. Life has changed a little bit for them, and they're feeling this pressure of, where are my priorities?
Yeah.
Um, am I actually serving who I want to be serving?
Mm-hmm.
Is this really what I'm meant to do? There's a lot of introspection. There's a lot of really reassessing
Yeah.
their business, their life, their priorities, everything. And it can feel a little heavy.
Yeah. It definitely
But
can feel heavy when they're in the
yeah,
midst of it, right?
exactly. But it's how do you take this thing that you built and this life that you have and remold it and create it to what you want?
Yeah.
We've been sucked in for years into a lot more masculine way to do things, and that there's
Mm-hmm.
these boxes we've been put into, and we don't fit into these little boxes. The beauty of doing business now is there's so many ways to do it.
Yeah.
But how do you know which pieces to pull from here and which pieces to pull from here? And what do I do here to make it your own way to do business?
Yeah.
Which was frowned on before, and now it's the norm. But how do you
Yeah.
make that shift? And that's really
Yeah.
the biggest shift I'm seeing.
Yeah. No, I definitely see it. And I had all of the conversations last year around, that recalibration and like, and that's what I kept hearing back as well is women were really pausing and they were listening and they were restructuring. They were, sometimes they were throwing out whole parts of their businesses. Sometimes they were streamlining parts of their businesses.
Mhm.
And so I think that assessment of slowing down and like what's there for me, what am I being called to do right now,
Exactly.
and what's different, and how do I what's the lifestyle I want to create, because I know myself and my clients and the women that I know, none of them are wanting to like be in this rat race
Mhm.
of a pathway, but they want to listen and build a business that's aligned. So I so agree with this. So
Mhm.
many women are feeling more trapped in their businesses as they grow, as they get to the next level.
Yes.
They've gotten a level of success and they're like, okay, what do I do? I don't want to just walk away from this.
Yeah.
So why do so many women run into that?
Well, we've built from, again, the models of how we were told to build before.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they're not wrong models, but they may not be the right model for you. And so you've created this momentum, you're 500,000, you're 1 million, you're several million, wherever it is you are. And then all of a sudden it feels like this gigantic jail or prison or this box that you're in, and you don't feel like you can step away, but it also does not feel right.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of women I'm running across are the life that they wanted to create alongside this business is not now the life that they have.
Yeah.
So they have this business that had momentum, but the life doesn't match it. They're having to make choices between doing things in their business or for their business and their family, or
Yeah.
time away from their family. And this is what's bringing women to kind of this head right now of, this isn't what I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
but how do I create what I wanted? And you can't actually marry the two.
Yeah.
But the way to marry the two is make sure you have the right pieces in place on both sides.
Yeah.
So it creates this business that actually supports the life that you
Yeah.
want.
And we can't do our best work if we're feeling the weight of that, of
Mhm.
what our business is. When our business starts to feel heavy, we can't be doing our best work. So it's
Correct.
so important to, when we get to those pivotal moments where we're feeling that, we pause and we say, okay, what needs to shift here?
Mhm.
And I think that's, I know that there's been so many women that have tried hiring and bringing in consultants and investing in new systems, and they're like, oh my gosh, and now they've got a lot of systems duct taped together.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, so what's happening when we're building from that point where we're, and I can, I can speak as somebody, who's been in business for 17 years, and over the course you build these legacy systems that are there,
Mhm.
and and so, and systems have changed dramatically over the last 17 years, and
Mhm.
so that's what happens. um what can you say about that?
Oh, I could talk for hours on that topic, but what I will say is, these brilliant, intelligent women who've built these amazing businesses, We fall into, and I say this because I've fallen into this same trap, is we're like, okay, I can figure this out.
Yeah.
I can figure it out. I can do this. Okay. I think I need to hire. And so we hire. Okay. I think we need a system over here. Okay, great. We get this system, right? I think I need to do my SOPs. We don't have SOPs. That's going to fix it. And then they start to bring in SOPs. None of those things are wrong.
Yeah.
That's the thing. These intelligent women are going about this process internally of trying to determine what area to tackle first, what's going to bring about the most relief. And they're not doing anything wrong. I meet with a lot of women who feel a little shameful that they've tried this, they've tried this, they've tried this, and they're not doing anything right. I do want to say you're not doing anything wrong. You're going through this process, but sometimes you're too close to it
Mm-hmm.
to be able to see the bigger picture and really what actually needs to shift. And I see people trying to tackle one at a time and maybe not having the right filter of knowing, is this a people issue? Do I need a system? Do I need processes? Do I have the right people? Really, how to assess that so they know the actual right next step.
You just
Yeah.
took my mastermind community through an exercise looking at those three
Mm-hmm.
areas, and it was incredibly useful for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that feedback. So, tell our listeners a little bit what might they look for in those three areas?
Yeah, there's really, it's kind of like a filter and a decision process
Mm-hmm.
of deciding, do you have a people problem, a system problem, or a process problem? And 9 times out of 10, it's a combination.
Right.
But most people try to tackle it using one lens.
Right.
Oh, I need this help. I just need to hire. And that could be part of the solution. But if
Mm-hmm.
they hire and don't have the right systems or processes in place, you're probably not going to fix everything you think you're going to fix.
Yeah.
And so it's typically a combination. But walking through, stepping back, first of all, taking out some of the emotion out of it, and stepping back and going, okay, what is it I actually want to have happen out of this?
Mm-hmm.
And then running it through that lens of, is it actually the people? Do I have people that are doing this? Do I just not like how they're doing this? Did I actually set them up and train them? Do they have a process? Do they have the system? And actually take a beat before
Mm-hmm.
you start trying to implement other solutions, because
Yeah.
that's when the solutions compound and it's not actually solving.
Which I think is such good advice, because it's really easy for us to fall into. You see something, I'll just use myself. I looked at a product called Go High Level just recently, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're just going to go down this pathway. And we weren't looking at it holistically, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, the deeper I got into it, I got guided in some different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really grateful for that. And I know it was part of your team that helped look at that and say, well, can we look at it through a different lens?
Mm-hmm.
And I was glad I didn't just make the leap, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I was this close to making that leap.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, stepping back and looking at it holistically can be really, really, really useful.
Well, and knowing how you make decisions, I know you're very familiar with yourself and how you need to make decisions,
Mm-hmm.
but not everybody is familiar with the lens. I use human design in all of my work, but we're all built to make decisions and approach things
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
And I see people kind of making decisions from the wrong standpoint. Maybe you're not meant to make a decision in the moment, but you need to give yourself a beat. And there's
Yeah.
people that will do the opposite of what they're meant to do, and it can lead them down
Yeah.
potentially a wrong path for them,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
feel this pressure we have to fix and we have to do and we have to make all the decisions. Knowing how you make decisions for yourself and
Yeah.
staying very true to that can help.
Yeah. And I think,
Change that.
just in fairness too, it wasn't that Go High Level was a bad product or anything. It just
Correct.
wasn't right for what my circumstance was. I know a lot of people
Right.
that love that product, and,
Mhm.
that was the right decision for them. It wasn't the right decision for me in this moment. And
Correct.
so, like, having that pause and reflecting on it can be really important to
Mhm.
take a look at that.
Yeah, and most people don't look at systems holistically. It's
Yeah.
very a black and white masculine approach. This one on paper, it fits my needs. Great, let's put it in place. That there's a holistic component to
Yeah,
looking at all
my
everything
decision
in your
was
business.
based on a much longer term vision.
Yes.
And so that was where my decision came into play with that. So
Mhm.
it's you
Yeah.
know it's interesting.
Mhm.
So you talk about spaciousness being something
Mhm.
we can choose now.
Absolutely.
What does that look like in our businesses?
Mm. It's different for everyone what
Yeah.
spaciousness looks like. I'll give you an example of what spaciousness looks like for me. I can count on, well, probably now two hands because we're in March, how many times I've set an alarm
Mm-hmm.
in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
I have maneuvered my schedule to where I can wake up more naturally.
Oh, me too. That's huge for
Um,
me.
yeah, I can wake up more naturally. I meditate every morning, every day,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Me too.
um, before I start anything.
Yeah.
And so I am grounded and I start my day much more grounded, much more in the zone than I would if I'm setting an alarm. And I know not everyone has this freedom built in yet, but if I have to set an alarm and I have to get up and I have to hurry and I have to be on a timeline, it just energetically sets my day wrong. And so I've purposely built my entire calendar and my entire schedule to allow all of that time in the morning. I don't have a meeting before 10 or 11. I'm done by 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
I usually do not have packed days. There's plenty of space in between meetings. I have days where I can focus more on client calls and days I focus more on networking calls. It just keeps me in a better zone.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't overwork. I don't,
Yeah.
I also allow myself the grace and the space if the energy's not there that day. I had to do a lot of this last fall with coming back overseas sick and that sort of thing. If it's not there that day, it's okay to move things and cancel. It's okay
Yeah.
to be human. It's okay to create that space for yourself. And there's a lot of us, we don't always give ourselves that grace, and the ability that we can dictate our schedule. Not everyone else has to.
Yeah, I so agree with that, and
Yeah.
I'm very similar, and I start my mornings in the same way. I don't set an alarm unless
Mhm.
I've got to be at like jury duty, like I had to be on Monday, or
Right.
like oh my gosh, I have to get up so early. And generally, I wake up early. I mean, that's the thing is that if my system, I will generally wake up get early because I am a morning person, but it's my rhythm. And then yesterday, I was tired because I had woken up so early to go to jury
Mhm.
duty on Monday,
Mhm.
and I just let myself really start my day slower. And I was just not feeling the day, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ride my horse. So I made decisions in that moment to just like do something different. And I think creating that open space, that white space on our calendars is so important. My
Yeah.
Fridays are always blocked off.
Yeah.
My last week of the month is blocked off, so
Mhm.
people can't just throw meetings onto my calendar.
Mhm.
And so like making choices like that
Mhm.
does feel spacious to me, and
It
it
does.
gives us our ability to be our best in our businesses when we listen to our bodies, and we our bodies are guiding what choices we're making. I think most of us are hard workers, and we're those the type A that are trying to get things done, and giving ourselves permission to do it differently is
Yeah.
really a beautiful choice.
And there's a lot of fear around that. I mean, and
Yeah.
and I get it because we're moving from, it feels scary to not please all these people or all these obligations that we put on our own plate,
Right.
but no one else is out there really looking out for us except us. And
Yeah.
it you have to be the one to make that choice
Yeah.
and to be confident in loving yourself enough
Yeah.
that you know what you need
Yeah.
and you know when you need to take more space. And it sounds counterintuitive to the way most of us were brought up and raised to
Yeah.
work hard. The harder you work, the more you can make. And it's just this hustle and grind. And we're not really built to do that.
Yeah.
And it sounds counterintuitive to really create that space. The more space you create, my business does better. Your
Yeah.
business is done better. because you're in your alignment, you're
Yeah.
doing everything that you're supposed to do, things will magically happen. I
Yeah.
mean, the more I've adopted it, the better my business does and the
Yeah.
less that I work.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I would highly recommend, to all of our listeners to really figure out what are those time zones. I don't do meetings before 10 either, and I don't do them after 5.
Mhm,
And and I never do a meeting on a weekend. I mean, that's just not, I
mhm,
didn't build my business to do that. And
yeah,
so I would invite all of our listeners to really think through those boundaries. Like, what are the boundaries? Do you
yes,
want Fridays? Do you want Mondays? Whatever that is, that you've got
mhm,
space to do your best work. I can go back even to my corporate days. I had a boss that I loved him. He was a great boss, and he he eventually became the president of our company. But we were all, his team. He told us, he encouraged us to take a half a day with no meetings, no phone calls, no nothing. And we all looked at him like he was crazy. We were like, we can't do that. I mean, like, heaven forbid, right?
mhm,
Um, and he's like, no, you guys can't afford to not do that. And
right,
like, my best ideas always came from those Wednesday mornings that I set aside where, I could, just, that was my block time. And so I learned that, 20 plus years ago.
mhm,
And when we could give ourselves that space, and sometimes it's space to do our, like, to do like our big strategy thinking, or, to write, or to, develop something new.
mhm,
Sometimes it's space like I did yesterday, where it's like, I'm just going to go ride my horse. And it
yeah,
doesn't really matter. It's like, you're going to play with both sides of that.
yeah,
I mean, you do need to make space for your business. It does matter.
you
I
do,
will say that you have to
you
make the
do.
space for your business, but sometimes you just really got to listen to your body. So,
Well, and it's also being able to then, okay, if you're struggling with this really is ideally how much I want to work,
mhm.
then rethinking how you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because there's a way to make it work, but we kind of have to be open to thinking about doing what we're doing and how we're doing it very differently.
So talk more about that.
So when you sit with the clarity of what schedule you want, what you want out of life, if you're a mom, you want to be done by 2 o'clock every day to pick your kids up from school and be present at practices and all the things. Well, then we have a block we need to fit things into.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not everything that you're doing right now fits into that block and how you're doing it. So it could
Yeah.
be the format of your offers, how you're delivering what you're doing, where you're actually spending your time, like you said, on meetings, or not on meetings, how rethinking how things fit together and what actually you need to do. Because there's a lot of stuff on our plate that we think is a priority, and it's really not.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true.
But
That's so
knowing
true.
how that filter on how to decide that, you can absolutely, again, make it work, but get the clarity of what you want in your life.
Yeah.
And then you put the right structures and reform how you have modeled your business, how you run your business, all of those pieces to fit in there. And that's really the formula on how to create that space and the life that you want.
Yeah, I love
Mm-hmm.
it. And it reminds me of, again, back in my corporate days. I'm going to go back to another story. We worked with a branding agency that
Mm-hmm.
was top of the line. They were amazing. And they're very well known in the Denver market space. And they, at the time, I didn't realize, I learned this many years later, that they were all moms that wanted to work 3 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and as their client, paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I never knew that until after the fact, that they only work 3 days a week, and they set up their businesses so that they could, so that they could be home for their kids when they got home from school, that sort of thing. And what was amazing was that, they are one of the top branding agencies in our state. And that's how they set that business up to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
because they wanted to live that lifestyle. So that intention
Mm-hmm.
that we decide, the lifestyle that we want to live, we get to set that intention, and then we get to build our business to it.
Yeah. And letting go of obligations we feel like we have to others, things we feel like we need to be doing,
Yeah.
really sitting with what you actually want to be doing and how
Yeah.
you want to be living your life, getting to that level, and once you get that clarity, you can fill in the other pieces.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So you share that you've spent years knowing you were meant for something bigger,
Mm-hmm.
but you couldn't figure out how to get there and without
Mm-hmm.
sacrificing anything. So, it's kind of the same story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of your personal story.
Yeah, I mean, I was raised like a lot of people. I was high achiever, hustle. I had accomplished so much before I even graduated college. But then I ran an insurance marketing firm straight out of school for about 9 years, and I met my now husband during that period of time. And all of a sudden, we're commuting to different sides of the state, and this isn't what I signed up for.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, life became a reality, and I went, this isn't what I'm wanting. I don't know what it is yet. And so I kind of took a big leap of faith and quit with no plan. But I said, I'm going to figure this out. And I went on a journey. I'd always had a business on the side since I'd been 20. But I just went, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to figure this out because this is not what I'm wanting. I wanted to be able to travel with my husband and have that freedom. And so I ended up turning different opportunities that came my way, different interests that I had into businesses. And it wasn't until the last business I had that I had colleagues, I had competitors reach out. They're like, how are you doing this? Everything you do just takes off. Now, granted, I was hustling to make that happen. But all of a sudden I started helping them. It was a lot of moms. It was a lot of women, and really feeling that pull between life and their mission and what they wanted in their business. And so I started helping them figure out what they needed to have around them.
Yeah.
The right people, the right systems, the right resources, the right coaches, the right mentor, all of the things that we need to put into place. And all of a sudden, then I started realizing this is what I am supposed to do. This is my purpose here. And so again, I took the leap of faith. I sold that business and haven't looked back since. Sold it in January 2020. And now I just dedicate my time full time to helping women really know how to put the right pieces around them to make what they want to have happen. Women don't have to figure it out on your own. We all think we need to, because I fall into that trap too. But figuring out what you want, and then there are the pieces, and there's a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's what I've devoted my life to.
I love it. I love it. So for the woman tuning in and who's realizing her business needs to be rearranged rather than added to, because that's a piece that we can fall into, is like we want to just keep adding more to it. Where should she look first?
I would, as far as feeling like things need to be rearranged, getting clarity first is really where I would recommend starting. Getting really honest with yourself, what you actually want, not what you think other people think you should do, but what you actually want.
Right.
And then finding the help to help make that happen. If you need help to find the clarity, get the help to find the clarity. You don't have to do it all on your own. But once you have the clarity of how you want to spend your time, the life you want to have, the mission that you're on, what you want to accomplish in your business, they're all important. Then you can start to put together the pieces on how to make that happen.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. Okay, so Mara, where can people learn more about you and your work?
Yeah, I'd love to connect with everyone on LinkedIn. That's kind of where I live. You can find me, Mara Whitener, on LinkedIn. You can check out my website. It's www.whitenerpros.com. And if you're struggling with any of this, you're like, that's great, I've been feeling this. book a call with me. We'll just have a chat and we'll see where you are and where you need to head.
Awesome. 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 The final question I always close with is, what are 3 pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave with us today?
Oh, limiting to 3. Um, have the courage to do what you know is right for you.
Mm,
It can be challenging to get to that level, but really have the courage
yeah.
to do what you need to do. Know that you do not have to figure out everything on your own. We feel compelled, but
So true.
please reach out for the right help.
Absolutely. Always,
Um,
always.
yeah,
It will help you get there so much faster, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You don't have to struggle on your own. I know we've been bred to, that's how we have to do it. You really, really don't. And follow your heart.
So
Really
true.
follow your heart.
Yeah.
That's going to be the key to any decision, anything that you build, anything that you do is follow your heart.
Yeah. Love it. Mara, it's been so much fun having this conversation. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing your wisdom today. And with my mastermind last month, it was awesome. Or actually,
yeah,
it was earlier this month. But yeah,
yeah,
thank you so much for all that you're bringing into the world. And I'm so happy to know you.
yeah. Thank you for having me, and same here.
Yeah.
Appreciate everything that you were doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.